Mike was introduced earlier. Here's what I just want to share with you. Mike cares about you and your success and you growing as a person. He cares about me and my success growing as a person. The most important thing he cares about is you growing and becoming the best version of yourself. I just want to share a quick story with you. Just something happened earlier this year. Mike said, hey, I've been focused on growing and I feel I want to have all the division managers grow. And he got us a life coach, and we did this leadership circle and this leadership growth activity. And he brought us into how he's growing. Every time he reads a book, I feel like I get a new book in the mail all the time because Mike shares. Hey, I got so much value from this. I want to share it with other people. And when he grows himself, he grows everybody else around us. This is going to be the #1 region in the history of the company. And next year, we are going to just take over. And Mike's leading the way, and through his growth and through the growth that we're seeing in our region right now. So to wrap things up, our region manager, Mr. Mike Muriel, let's give him a hand.
Greg, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And let me just take a minute to thank all of the speakers and all of the roundtable leaders. Really, this meeting is not nearly as good as it is without your preparation. And by preparation, there's really two things. One is, the work that it took for you to do that, but also your preparation for the meeting, for the messages itself, and the roundtables as well. Let me also say thank you to all the trophy winners, everyone who earned a rock. And if you didn't earn a rock, look, you have other opportunities to earn a rock. The Olympics, I think I like the Olympics. It's such a great story when you see someone who, I saw the woman who won the gold medal for it was weightlifting, I think. I'm going to pull up this photo. I sent it to the DVMs this morning. And this woman, she was in 2008. She's the first person who's a Filipino who earned it for the Philippines, earned a gold medal for the Philippines. In 2008, she was second to last. So second to last out of everyone in the Olympics. In 2012, she did not finish. Imagine working for 4 years on something. She did not finish. 2016, she earned the silver medal. Right, so this is 8 years later, she earned the silver medal. 4 years later, she earned, it's actually 5 years because it's 2021, she earned the gold medal. I mean, that to me speaks volumes of the power of the human potential. What a meeting this has been. I want to ask you to jot down what are some of my big takeaways from this meeting. What are some of my big takeaways from this meeting? And I'm going to ask you to share in a minute. I'm going to have you raise your hands. We'll do a quick share. Again, as I referenced yesterday, I really believe that the power of the group is so much more than the power of any single individual. Greg said some nice things to me, but I'm sure that we're going to hear some amazing things. So jot down, what are some of your big takeaways? I thought I had a list of takeaways that was like beyond massive. And then Buddy spoke and I was like, just adding more. And if you could raise your hand in there, that would really be fantastic. So we've got Elizabeth. Oh, there we go. Here we go. All right. Garrett. Yeah. Do the actual emoticon would be great.
For me, the biggest takeaway that I have was definitely the have tos, need tos, should do's, and want tos.
Yeah.
Because it was actually something that I learned about in college as well, through a course that I was taking, where there was like highest priority, second priority, and it was essentially like the same thing, but the way it was worded in for this meeting actually like made me realize how it should be looked at.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it a ton. Michaela.
Hi. Yeah, my biggest takeaways was that make the homies the smaller set and upsell the siggies and the ultimates. And it's okay to organize my schedule around to fit my have tos, my need tos. just so that I don't feel like I'm overbooking, or I can fit, everyone that I want to in my schedule without feeling more pressure.
It's fantastic. When I think about have tos, I would just a small tweak on that. I like to call them get tos, right? I get to do these things, right? Because not everyone gets to. Lexi, how about you?
My biggest takeaway was when Buddy was talking about the dreams list, because if you don't have something to motivate you, you're not going to want to do it. And I haven't ever came up with a dreams list before. And so while he was like talking about it, I started writing things down, and I plan on copying it and putting it in like a bunch of random places in my house. So I always have that motivation. Like if I want to get to this goal, if I want to do these things, I have to work my butt off to get there. So that was probably my biggest takeaway, was definitely the dreams list, so that I have motivation to continue working hard.
One of my favorite quotes, thanks Lexi for sharing. One of my favorite quotes is from Tony Robbins. He says, he hasn't met anyone who's ever lazy, but he's met people with impotent goals. And I really feel that that is true. When people say they're lazy, I'm like, that is not true. You're selling yourself short. You just don't have a goal that's getting you off the couch, that's inspiring to you. All right, let's go with Jen. How about yourself?
Me, it was actually all the different package deals that Bert was talking about. I was like really blown away on how many different packages we all have that I didn't even know about, and what was in each package.
That's fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. All right, let's go with Lyle. How about you?
Hey, so I really love the rock, pebble, and sand motto. And I used to live by that. My senior year of high school, I woke up at 3 a.m. every day to go to work because I was president of the FFA, and I never had time in the nighttime. I was always at meetings or practicing for CDEs, which is just an FFA thing. And I didn't have time to work in the nighttime. So I had to live by that because, you've got to schedule in sleep time. You can't push yourself past 8 o'clock when you're waking up at 3. Sleep is just for health. And to be honest with you, when I went to college, I completely forgot about it. I haven't lived by it for a long time, and I've seen a huge growth when I live by it. So I'm so excited to remember it and to actually see that again and be like, wow, I stepped away from that, and sure enough, my productivity has gone down. So I'm super stoked to live by that again and see where it can take me.
And imagine if you take the month of August and you're exercising that every day. This is one of the reasons why I personally trained 5,000 representatives. And I would have countless people tell me like, Mike, thank you so much for challenging me. I didn't feel like working in August. I made a bunch of money, but I did. And I had such a better semester because what I had behind me was momentum. Momentum is one of the most powerful forces in the universe. So thank you for sharing. Michael, it's good to see you. We haven't talked in a while. How about yourself, Michael?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I have 3 big takeaways. It's to love the game more than what the game gives me, whether it's Cutco or just my personal life or my personal interests, like with the music, like we mentioned earlier. To do things today what others won't, so I can do tomorrow what others can't. And from a Cutco perspective, just to upsell like the Cutco kitchen, like by doing seed plants and just thinking overall bigger. So that's like my takeaways.
That's fantastic. I've been in the vector business for 29 years. And when the Kinzers spoke, I texted him immediately. I was like, my mind was blown. I learned so much about selling Cutco in that segment right there. Colleen's message blew my mind. Like the Cutco selling stuff blew my mind over the last 24 hours. You really heard some unbelievable messages. Jack Ryan, baller Jack Ryan, what do you got?
My biggest one was the financial talk for sure, where it's like decrease expenses, increase earnings. Graduating this year, and I want to get to where Rachel was. 27 years old, retired. That just fired me up and gave me so much momentum to motivation just to keep it going and don't stop. So that's what I got.
That's super exciting. Alex Funk, where are you?
I'm right here, Mike.
All right, Alex. Alex shared earlier with some of the district managers that he's super motivated to have a huge August because he wants to buy. Alex, correct me if I'm wrong. Did you just say your second home? Okay, Alex, how old are you?
21.
And when did you buy your first home?
Last December.
So you bought your first home last December when you were 20. How did you pay for that first home?
I emailed Dane and I said, can I take money out of my withholdings? And then I took that check and gave it to the bank.
How did you have money in withholdings?
I sold a lot of Cutco.
I mean, look, and I'm going to ask Alex this question. And someone said this yesterday. They were like, I just don't like phoning. And I was like, no one likes phoning. There's not one person on the earth that I've met that's like, what I love doing is facing the fear of rejection. There's not, Alex, do you like phoning?
It's my least favorite part of the job, but
yeah, of course it is. It's least favorite part of the job, right? It's like asking someone, do you like shots? I got a truth bomb. I'm going to admit, I actually like getting shots. I like the anticipation of like oh, this is going to hurt. I'm weird as they get, by the way. But you don't meet people that like the phone, and you don't meet people that like getting shots. Max, how about you?
One of the biggest takeaways I had was just more about the vector opportunity. I remember there's one slide where it was like those 5 questions that you could really ask yourself about a career. Like, could you see yourself growing here? Do you love the people you work with? Are you being challenged? And I forgot the other 2, but questions like those. And I really asked myself that, and it really helped me for people who don't know what they're going to do and they necessarily know what they're doing in the future. That helped me just figure that out. And, I don't know if I'll be selling Cutco for the rest of my life, but if I did, then that would definitely be something that I'd still love to do.
Max, I threw this in the chat a bit earlier. One of the things that, when I started with our company, I did not think I was going to be here 29 years, but I wrote down everything I wanted out of a job and everything I wanted out of a career. And I was like, crap, it's vector. I was like, I don't want to be here because I did not envision myself working with a company that sold knives. I did not go to 4 years of college for that. I was like, and my dad, apparently he never shared it with me, was just like, he did not want me to do this for a living, but he never shared it with me, right? And, I had friends at the time that were like, you're doing that knife thing? And it's really amazing. It's really amazing. In this year that we're in, and I got to tell you, I have some successful friends. Of the 6 of them, 3 of them lost the job within this last year because of the chaos that was the business world this year. It's really absolutely amazing. And I love my job because I love engaging with people. I love watching people. I love hearing this. This is just, so it's really important. I think I'm going to give you my 2 cents on what to look for out of a career and a company to work with is, do I fit that tribe? It's a very, very important question. If you chase money, I don't think you're going to be happy. I know a lot of people who make a lot of money, and I went to high school with people whose parents made a lot of money and they were miserable. Right? But if you find a place where you're their people, right? Those people are yours. That's a great place to be. And I'm not saying vector is it for all of you. I know that, right? Some of you, maybe, you prefer to be around people that are on the, groundbreaking, scientists, right? We don't do that at Vector, right? Shock. I think you're hopefully not shocked with that, right? We are a certain way, a certain DNA. It's important to think about that. Brady, how about yourself?
I was something that Jacob said. It was a quote from Jim Rohn. It was
Yep.
learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. So like self-improvement, like how if you just focus on like going through a demo or like watching people do demos, you may not grow as much as if you like personally focus on yourself. And then something that you said, you put in the chat, said leaders read, but not all readers lead. And that is kind of something where it's like, if you focus on yourself, you're going to succeed no matter where you put yourself. So you have to first look inwards before you think about using those skills outwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Maya, how about yourself? Thanks, Brady.
Awesome. So I think one of my biggest takeaways was definitely the leadership and like TLA group, because as all my managers know, like leadership is something that's really, really important to me, and just influencing and impacting the lives of others, I've always been super excited about. So we talked about the definition and just looking for people that can help you grow. So like Sebastian's my manager, and we're always talking about how I can be a better mentor to others, and like how he's been such a great mentor to me. And I'm just really excited to continue that with Cutco and even in my personal life. And so that was definitely like a huge takeaway for me.
Thank you, Maya, for sharing. And thank you for sharing your perspective that leadership's important to you. And if it's not important to you, it should be. You know, leadership, you're all going to lead something at some day. Again, it might be a passion that you have, right? It might be a community organization, right? It might be a family, right? Buddy mentioned how he and his wife are I'm going to call it leaders of the family, right? In an interesting way, I learned just as much from my kids as I think they learn from me. There isn't a day that goes by that I'm not taught. So let me fast forward that. When they're your age, it's still going to be the same. My mom shared that with me just recently. She's like, wow, she's like, when I talk to you, I learn things, and I'm like, that's how I feel about you. Right. And so when I'm open-minded to learn, that's like what I learned from Connor's message. Connor's open-minded to learn. That's why he learns from so many people. All right, we're going to go last two here. I'm sorry, I'm not going to get everyone here, but Amber.
Hey, honestly, I've got a lot from Bert Gabby, but mostly from Buddy because of how descriptive he was in how to organize your schedule book with the how-tos. And then Gabby's consistency with challenging yourself and the acting of if. That really kind of put a massive perspective right there at the front door for me.
Acting as if. I mean, one of the things that I heard really early in my career was to act as if you're the position 2 ahead of you. Not 1 ahead of you, but 2 ahead of you. So be thinking like, hey, what would, if you're a representative, for instance, that would be like, hey, what would a district manager do in this situation? Or what would the division manager be doing? Right? Act in that role. All right, last one, Aaliyah.
Go ahead and unmute myself. So right there at the end, Buddy just dropped a gem of, he said it in a different way, but basically I took it as instant gratification is a trap. In my generation specifically, we are obsessed with instant gratification. Like all the social media, we immediately get likes, we immediately get comments. We are getting all that attention as soon as we want it. When we're working towards like a huge goal, like August is a huge month for me. I have all these huge ambitions. And it's like, I know I can't expect to see that in the first week, not even the second week. I need to go till the very last day as hard as I can.
Fantastic. Yeah, our future selves, don't often run into our past selves, but if they could, right, what would the advice be if you think about that, right? So, all right, we're going to go ahead and go to the workbook. If someone can drop the workbook, and if you already have the workbook open, go ahead and open it up to the last part where it says dream and visions of an inspiring 2022. And I'm going to go ahead and start reading through this. Again, I know you can all read, but the time to create and cast the vision, I find, is always best when I'm in a peak emotional state. When I'm at a peak emotional state, I make better decisions. The converse is also true. When I'm in a low emotional state, right, not feeling good about myself, not feeling great about my lot in life, not feeling great about luck, that's the worst time possible to make decisions. Let me reiterate that. The worst time to make decisions, particularly life decisions, are when you're not feeling good. The best time is when you're in peak state. Most of you, I'm imagining, are in some form of a peak state. So that's why I'm going to ask you to imagine yourself 12 months from today. So it's July 31st, 2022. You look back on this last year of your life and you see a life and a business that has been truly lifted, transformed, and tapped into your highest calling as a leader. Not like a slightly better life, one that has been transformative and really tapping into your highest calling. When you look back on your life, both personally and professionally, 12 months from now, what are some of the images that would give you the greatest sense of pride, of meaning, and fulfillment? And you can start jotting this down in the blanks there, right? What would tell you that your gifts that you've been given in life have been fully realized and brought into reality? Look, one of the things I've got to admit to you is that I'm an amazing person. One of the things that I want to admit to you is that you're an amazing person. So we're all amazing. So I want you to tap into those gifts. There are things that make you absolutely unique. So tap into those gifts. There's two final questions, and you can be jotting this down. You can listen and write at the same time. I know you can. What types of experiences, what types of conversations and relationships would give you the greatest sense of joy and purpose? I'm going to be transparent with you. I wasn't feeling like I was spending as much time with my kids, so I made a commitment that with each of them, I'm going to spend at least 10 minutes a day. And so yesterday at the end of the meeting, I was sharing this with some of the district managers. I was really tired. I got home and my son said, "Do you want to play hockey out front?" And I said, "No, I don't, but I will because I love you." And so that meant I threw out a bunch of hockey gear and he shot slap shots at me that were like, I thought I was going to lose a tooth, lose an eye, break bones, etc. But it was a blast. And I was so invigorated after about 20 shots. And then I said, "No mas," because I'm in fear of my life right now. But I was totally alive after that 10 minutes. In what ways have you put into action the biggest and smallest ideas that you took away from this event? I want you to think about that. What are some of the small ideas that you heard? And what are some of the big takeaways? Maybe that's about money. Maybe that's about your time. Maybe that's about, like Buddy said, think bigger. Maybe you just need to think bigger. My biggest regret of an entire decade, my 20s, was that I didn't think bigger. I think in a lot of ways, reaching your goal or your outcome is sometimes the worst thing that can happen. I remember setting a huge goal for myself in 1995 and we hit it. And I was like, darn it, I should have thought bigger, because I wonder if we would have hit it had I thought bigger. So again, take a few minutes to jot some of the details down of the positive images for your future here. And if you finish with that, see if there's any details that you can add to that story that would make it, just bring a little more sizzle to that. Make it a sexier story. Make it one that's going to get you out of bed and move past. What I can tell you, what I can promise you, I can promise you the universe will test you. It's going to throw adversity your way. It does for every goal, everything that's ever been important to me, whether it's being a dad, being a husband, whether that's running a business, being an active part of my community, as a family member, as a friend. The universe will throw adversity our way as if it's to say, how badly do you really want this? And our vision for the future is really what moves us past. It's the stepping stone over the obstacle that's in front of us. All right, let's go ahead and move to the next question here. Now it's time to make some commitments. All right, I'd like you to think of what are 3 to 5 outcomes 12 months from now that would tell you, this is the next question, that you're realizing your vision that you just imagined. And how do these outcomes connect to your positive vision of the future? So now's the time to actually make commitments. Someone told me earlier, they're like, I want to sell more. And I'm like, that isn't a number. Be very specific. So let's say you want to exercise more. Be specific. I'm going to exercise 2 times a week if you've never been doing it. And if you've been doing 2 a week, make it 3 a week. Make it 4 a week, whatever that is, right? Maybe it's spend more time with loved ones. Again, the great thing about setting objectives and goals is that this is a very personal thing. And the beauty of this is that you can't go wrong, right? And if you're struggling and if you've got 6, just have 6. That's totally fine. When I think of, I was sharing with the district managers, when I think of anything that is admirable, whether that's like a piece of work, of artwork, or whether that's your favorite team. I saw people talking about the Milwaukee Bucks. By the way, go Bucks, Bucks in 6. That was pretty amazing, right? It all started with a vision, and then it started with some small commitments. What I want you to do now is I want you to commit to some action steps, and that's the next question here. So now, what are 3 to 5 action steps that are going to help you in the next 60 to 90 days make the most important progress towards your 12-month outcome? So what are 3 to 5 action steps that you're committed to taking? So one of the things that was important to me, like Greg mentioned it, was I wanted to read 10 pages every day this year. And so what I did was I bought 20 plus books because I knew there were going to be some books that weren't going to resonate with me. And I didn't want to say to myself, well, I don't have a book to read. I wanted to be able to pick up a book, start reading it. And if it didn't resonate after 60 pages, I was just going to put it down and pick up another book. So what are some action steps that you're going to take? I wanted to get better sleep this year. During COVID, my sleep got really wacky. So I got a Whoop band, right? The CSPs, Seth and Bert and some of them were talking to me about how it tracks your sleep really well. And I was like, I want that. And I already have a Rolex. Thank you, Vector. So I didn't want to get an iPhone, right? So that's why I was like, I don't want to get an iPhone. I know that tracks that, right? But I've realized that I wasn't going to bed early enough. And I thought I went to bed early. And then the last 2 things I'd like you to do is I want you to commit to one step right now that you can take that's going to accelerate your progress. Is it a phone call? Right? Don't make the phone call right now. Make it at 2:16 Central Time, right? But write yourself a note. Call so-and-so. Is it a note to yourself? Is it putting something in your schedule? When people tell me they don't have enough time to exercise every day, or they don't have enough time to read every day, or they don't have enough time to meditate every day, or they don't have enough time to call their mom every day, whatever the case may be, my response is wake up earlier. I promise you, you have time when you're sleeping, right? I can sleep in another life, right? Just kidding, because of the Whoop band, right? Anyway, is it a conversation with someone? Like, do you need to set up a call with your DVM? You're interested maybe in advancement. Maybe you're curious about branching. I remember being at this meeting and I wasn't thinking about branching. It wasn't until a couple of weeks later, I was like, hey, this management thing sounds kind of cool. I should talk to someone about it. become educated. Or for some of you, is it just a decision? Hey, I remember I was at an event like this, and there was this young man named Wes Gonzalez. He was a very average rep. And at this event, we did it live. He turned to the person next to him and he said, I'm going to be the #1 rep in the region next week. And she looked at him and said, yeah, right. He sold $4,000 that week and was the #1 rep in the region. He made a decision based on what he saw and what he felt like in that particular moment. And then I want you to write, lastly, in no more than one sentence, why is it important for me to move forward with this plan? Why is it important for me to move forward with this plan? Why is it something of consequence that actually matters? All right, and in a minute, we're going to give you 8 minutes. Kyle, will that work?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay, we're going to give you 8 minutes to discuss these questions, and you're going to go in rapid fire because, again, you're in a breakout. I think there's probably 4 people in your breakout. If you're in the live, meetings, obviously you can meet just one-on-one and maybe dial in a little bit more deeper. All right, is everyone ready? And hopefully you have some answers. If not, just scroll something down really quickly. And here's what I'd really like you to do. I know some of you are telling yourself you're tired, but I find that when I tell myself I'm tired, I'm more tired. When I say I have energy to do this right now in this moment, I'm going to be a great listener and I'm going to really feed back to the person anything of value or cheer them on. Maybe get their phone number and say, hey, you can do this. Be their accountability buddy. All right, go ahead. We're going to send you into breakouts. You're going to have 8 minutes total and we're going to jump back in. All right, good to see everybody back here. Who's feeling a little bit more energized, ready to conquer the world? Who's feeling like Leonardo DiCaprio, the front of Titanic, worst movie ever? And sorry, Nick. Maybe that was your favorite, but all right. Well, hey, it's great to see everyone back. I think, Kyle, is everyone back?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. Let's have a couple of shares on really the almost, I'm going to call it the actions and the now, where it says 3 to 5 actions you're going to take in the next 60 to 90 days and 1 step that you're going to take. So I really believe that when you publicly say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. Carolyn, I'm glad that you love that. I love that you love that. ONG, that is great. Oh, God, gosh, I guess what, all right. Anyway, let's do this. Raise your hand. Thank you very much. Coco, Colleen, Dolan.
Thank you. I'm actually going to share for Michael Roski.
Nice.
I feel like this needs a little recognition. One of the biggest action steps that he shared was that he has to continue his morning and his evening run. And Michael Roski, his alarm goes off every day at 5:15, and he is on a run by 5:21 every morning. So within 6 minutes, this guy is up and running, and I just thought that was so impressive. So his one of his action steps was to continue that, and I thought he needed a little public recognition because that is unbelievable.
That is very inspiring. Thank you, Colleen, for shouting out and sharing the light on someone else, shedding the light on someone else. Someone told me, I've never had a challenge working out. Someone told me that what they do is they put their gym shoes, they put their workout outfit like right next to their bed. So they practically have to trip over that. Sounds like Michael does. If he's out of the house in 6 minutes, that's awesome. Lyle, how about yourself?
Hey, how are you?
Feel free to stand up and own this moment.
Okay, well, I'll be honest with you. I just had shoulder surgery, so I don't have my sling on right now, so I can't stand up.
That's fine.
Because it can't hang. But yeah, so basically, obviously, like I talked about before, we're going to do that pebble, that rock, and that sand thing. That's number 1. Like I said, I've done it before, and I found amazing success with it. So that's my number 1. I really want to focus on building a strong calendar. The other thing I really want to focus on is actually just finding more happiness within myself. You know, this summer has been horrendously different than any other thing I've had in my life, but that doesn't mean that I can't make it still the best summer I've ever had and the best August I've ever had. So my biggest goal with that is just to do some in-search and make some good goals for myself to really, because when I have those like big wins, that's going to help me out. That's going to make me more happy. That's going to make me more productive. And then finally, I was just thinking about how I can help other people as well. So I want to make a few goals for myself on how I can just help other people and be a little bit more of a selfless person. So I really think that that's going to drive me to just be more productive. And it's just going to help me achieve a few more goals, make me have a happier, better life, and help other people as well.
Lyle, that was beautiful. And I'll tell you, as someone who's been on this earth for 51 years, this summer hasn't been weird. The last 19 months plus have been the weirdest 19 months. So if you're feeling like, hey, the last couple of months have been a little challenging, they all have been. Like, it's been so challenging. So I am so inspired by that. I'm going to share with you one of my shares. I'm going to do something every day that is intentionally uplifting of other people. I'm publicly making that proclamation to all of you. That was fantastic. I think if you can have a goal, when I have a goal that where I'm growing and where I'm contributing to the well-being of others, that's like the perfect day. Pierre, how about yourself, brother?
Hello. Yeah, going off what you just said, for my two action steps per se, the first one I did was spending more time with loved ones, because I feel like a lot of times in life we live in our own world, like only focus like on our own goals. And I feel like giving back to others is just something like really inspires and motivates other people, you know? And then for my second goal, I did sticking to my planner, because I have a really bad habit of like writing things down my planner, not sticking to them. And then helped me to do that was what Buddy talked about earlier, how like the need to, have to, and all that stuff, I feel like really helped me get going in the right direction. So yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. If we all just stuck to the things that were in our schedule, we would accomplish so much more. So again, whenever I just think I should do this, bam, it goes into my schedule. And I just show up to my schedule basically. Leah, how about yourself from Lakeshore? I think.
Well, you guys have been talking a whole lot about like kind of the whole meditation thing and stuff like that. I think I'm gonna try doing that a bit more, just to kind of like focus on myself a bit, because usually I'm doing a bunch of things like working or doing something for somebody else. So I kind of neglect myself a lot. And doing that and maybe journaling and working out and things like that, just kind of try and help myself for once.
You know, I think I'm reminded of the analogy of when you're in an airplane and they talk about how, you know, you gotta put it on yourself first before you're able to put it on someone else, because if you pass out before you can put it onto your small child, that's a problem, right? So it is important that we're taking care of ourselves through the classroom of silence, as Matthew Kelly talks about it, whether that's meditation, whether that's prayer, whether that's both. You know, I've been doing both now for almost a year, and it's been really fantastic every day. All right, last couple. Emily.
Did not expect to be in the spotlight that early. My goal is to become more productive by using less of this. And so because this is such an instant dopamine release, instead of, like, no matter what I do, I could delete all my social media, but I'll still find myself grabbing my phone. So I want to do, whenever I'm going to tally each time I use my phone, and then whenever I feel like I want to do my phone, I'm going to think about doing everything with a purpose. So I'm going to grab a book I really like and read that for 10 minutes. I'm going to go for a walk for 10 minutes, or I'm going to go clean something for 10 minutes instead of being on my phone.
Emily, that's fantastic. I think we would all admit that we're a little bit more connected to our phone than we would like to be. I remember getting my phone. I was one of the youngest people that I knew at like 25, 26. I lived a life that was totally fine without a phone until 25, 26. I know you can too. All right, last one. Isaiah, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good. So these aren't really like physical, actions, I guess, but I just said like staying focused, staying organized, just holding myself accountable, just making sure I'm doing everything every day that I can do to, be the person I'm trying to be. and just taking myself more seriously. Just minimize like self-doubt, it happens no matter what you're trying to do. So just kind of put that to the side. And then I just said, focus on the things that are important right now, or like the step I could take right now. It's good to think about the end, but you're not going to get there unless you focus on what you can do, every day to get to that point. So just be more like present in the moment and, just do what you got to do every day.
Well, thank you very much for sharing. Thank you all for all of the shares that you did, whether it was in a group or publicly. I appreciate you tremendously. We've got divisional breakouts. Let's go all out in August, both personally and professionally. Let's make it the most enjoyable, meaningful, and fulfilling month that you've ever had. And great things will happen. We'll see you in your division breakouts.